James, it is really nice to have you on. I don't know if this is going on a slab of glass or going on tablet habit, or probably both, if we're being honest here. But I
Sure.
decided to make a video with you to kind of go over craft because, as many people who have listened to the podcast and read my newsletter, I've shared your Summer with Craft video series, and I've been very enthralled with it and very excited to watch it as it continues. And I was thinking, hey, I'm still in the boat of like, I don't know if craft is right for me. I don't know if obsidian is right for me. But
Hmm.
I recently made the decision of like, I'm just going to use craft, and I've my reasons why. We don't have to go into them unless you want to, but I would like to
Yeah.
focus more on today being James. Please help me set up craft. I don't know what I'm doing.
Perfect. I am super glad to help you. And I feel that, right? The whole idea of doing the whole summer with craft thing was like it was one of those like personal decisions of I need to pick,
Hmm.
so maybe I'll document my choice and that will help me stay because the pull toward whatever's new is so strong. It's like, oh, I could use that. It's like, no, stop it. Just use craft. Just
Exactly.
stop it.
Exactly.
So no, I feel you.
Yeah.
I
So
feel you.
this is a whole new thing for me. The video is the lighting on me is not great. I don't know how to fix it. Hopefully, I can fix it in post, as you know, the college filmmakers say.
That's
It's
right.
not going to happen. But let's just dive into this. So we went over a couple of things previously, as
Yeah.
far as like some questions and stuff to kind of focus on to help me guide what I want to make craft for me. And the questions were along the lines of, what do you want to use craft for? Is it going to be like your all-in-one system? Do you want to use it for just your daily notes system? Do you want to use it as like a personal knowledge management system? And the answer for me was that if I can make craft you basically everything I need it for, as far as resources, notes, ideas, and
Yeah.
writing, I would like that. And I think it's possible with craft. And I believe you do something very similar to it with your setup and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I want to do. And then the other question was, do I have notes elsewhere? And if I do, where do I want to put them? Or do I want to keep them in that system? Or do I want to move them over to craft? And because of the answer of the former question was, I want to use craft for as much as I can, I
Right.
made the decision to make the move from the notes I have in Apple Notes, Obsidian, Bear, and moved them over to Craft. I've done that already. It
Okay,
took me
cool.
about an hour and a half to do. It was actually way easier than I was expecting because a lot of the notes and stuff that I have are Markdown, and you can actually drag a Markdown file from your Finder into Craft, and it gives you the option of
Hmm.
like, do you want to use this as a file or do you want to import this as a Markdown thing? And I was like, that's
Oh yeah.
really really cool. And so it just
Yeah.
imported Markdown things, and then I was really surprised that I could just copy and paste the rich text in Apple Notes and make it into Craft without any formatting issues at all. I was so expecting to have to
Hmm.
really reformat the stuff I have in my Apple Notes because I had like four or
Yeah.
five notes I wanted to like move over. I was very pleasantly surprised at how well that worked. So, if you're looking to import notes into Craft, they've made that exceptionally easy, and I was very happy to see that. So, now that I've imported all the things that I have, I kind of have an idea of how I want to organize things. I'm very open to
Okay.
revamping this if it's not working out the way I want it to,
Yeah.
and kind of make that work. So, what's the next step now that I've kind of moved all of my stuff into Craft, and what do I want to focus on next?
So I think for me, the thing that helped me the most is creating so craft has a hierarchy, right, of how things work.
Hmm.
There's spaces, there's documents, there's notes, there's pages, there's cards. All of those kind of live down the stack. There's daily notes and meeting notes. So deciding how you want to integrate those things into your system and like, so what am I going to do, right? Like, because for me, making a good note system is like, how quickly can I mentally put information here, right? Like, how many
Hmm.
barriers can I get rid
Yeah.
of? Um, and so, like, I still use drafts, right, to write information, especially if I don't know where it's gonna
Hmm.
go. So for me, I only put things in craft that I want to keep. Now, I may not keep it forever, but like, if I'm writing a text message, I'm not going to type it in craft and export it, right? Or an
Hmm.
email. But if I start writing an idea and it becomes a post, then I'm going to move to craft, right? So for me, anything that I might want to keep goes in
Okay.
craft, right? And that's the only choice. It's not like, is it really good or really bad? It's just like would I want this in the future? If the answer is possibly yes, then it goes into
Okay.
craft. And that's, I've started using the inbox a lot just because inboxes are good, right? You know, David Allen's whole thing about, you know, if you don't have an inbox anywhere, everywhere is an inbox.
Yeah.
Like, it is helpful in craft that there is just kind of an inbox, because, if you're just putting information there and you don't really know where it's going to go, that's a good place to start. So if it's a note that I think is going to be useful, I'll just stick it in the inbox, or even just in all documents. Like, I'll just make a note anywhere, right? It's easy to find everything in craft. So, so that's the one side, is like notes. And then the other thing that's been really good for me is the daily notes section. Have you used those at all?
Yeah, so daily notes is something that I'm super interested in. I haven't been using them lately. Like, I'm just kind of scrolling through what I've used for daily notes. Like, lately I've been doing things like this, where I will find articles and just say, hey, send it to my daily notes. Craft actually updated the shortcuts recently to basically have implemented today, yesterday, and tomorrow as like a fixed dynamic thing, as opposed to like before where you had to make it a specific date. So I've been making shortcuts with that, and I've just been like, oh, share to today, and it just goes into my today note, and then like I'll go through these later. Previously I used to have today notes where it would be like, you know, here are the things that are top of mind, here are the tasks that I have to do, here are notes and ideas that have popped in my head throughout the day, and then here's kind of a scratch list, like a scratchbook kind of system under that, to where I can append things to it with a shortcut, open it up whenever I have an idea, and just kind of have that be my catch-all. And I've been using that previously, and it works in the sense of like I'm able to, like, I know where I'm going to capture things, and that has helped. But at the same time, I worry that I'm just adding cruft that might not necessarily be important. So as far as like daily notes go, that is going to be a daily driver for me. No pun intended, but like I am, I'm very open to using daily notes. I just want to make sure I'm using it in a way that is productive and additive, as opposed to, you know, just adding nothingness into the ether and then adding cruft to my system.
Yeah, one of the problems, they're not problems with daily notes, but just the reality is it is easy to just put stuff in there and not really be able to find it. It is kind of to me, it's a scratch pad, right? Yeah. It's a field notes journal. It's a quick capture thing. I do like using the, like, you can't see my screen, but I'm going to pull up one here that we can show. Here's one from last week when, you know, I have my calendar synced to it. And so, when you have a calendar event like a meeting, it pulls all that content from your calendar into the daily notes section, and you can just drag those in and make a page, right? So it's not a document. It doesn't show up in your all documents page, but they are searchable. So if I searched for this, I could find it, right? Like if I'm searching for like weekly logistics, so like it's showing me these pages that are on here. And I can find them and see them and all that kind of stuff. So I do like to drag those in for those meetings, because I can go back to that day. Like we have a lot of weekly meetings. So it's like, hey, this is a weekly meeting. I'm going to take my meeting notes in here for those type of meetings. And that works pretty well. So that's a useful thing for it. Another thing that you can do is, if you're making a note, let me go to one that I did this on. You can, like, in the title or in the note, you can tag it with like today. Or you can use like the slash, you know, where you can make a command and it can become today. Let me find one that I did that. Where did that go? Here we go. So I'm pulling up one. We had a meeting for like our groups team. And so you can see on my screen in the video later, you'll see this. It says like Wednesday, August 25th. And all I did was come up in the title and hit today. And it's going to bring that in. And then when I go back to my daily note for the 25th, I can look at that and see there's a link at the bottom to that page.
Yeah, so it's got like backlinks and stuff to it.
So it'll make a backlink for you, which is just useful if again, it's just like that relational thing, right? Like how you want to find something. When it's like, oh, you know, we had that meeting, and when was that? Oh, it was last Wednesday. You know, if you called it something weird or you can't remember what you named it, you can go back, and again, like, you're just kind of adding those little hooks in there. So I like using daily notes for that. And then I just use it as a scratch pad. Like it's kind of my like to-do list of just like things that I think about. If somebody's like, hey, will you email me that information? I just stick it in the daily note, because you can see from the sort of sidebar view there if you have any notes that are tasks that are due. So there's a little circle that shows up. Yeah, I'm like yours is yes. If you take
Oh,
one
I
off,
see.
you can
Yeah,
see
yeah,
it's
yeah.
incomplete. So that's useful, right? I mean, it's not like a robust task manager, but for me, like I've found that during the day, random stuff pops up in my head, and I could stick it in reminders or in OmniFocus, or I could just stick it in Craft, especially if it pertains to something I need to find in a note, or again, like if it's something that I need to find in Craft, I'll just stick it to do there.
Gotcha.
So like I have one that says record a video with Jeff. So like when I'm done, I'll check that off.
Nice.
I have another one that says clean up recent notes and crafts. I need to go through my inbox today. Yeah. Like it's just a placeholder, right? Like it's not a big deal. It's not earth shattering. But again, and it's getting me to continue to use Craft, right? Like I want that to be my reach. When I grab my phone, instead of opening Twitter, I should open Craft and see what I need to do. So that's daily. That to me, that's helpful with daily notes. And the slash adding today or tomorrow in your note, that's a new thing that they added, which again is just really cool.
Yeah.
So
wait, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm thinking. Are we talking about? So wait, there's like a slash.
Yeah. Yeah.
Slash add.
So if you type literally today, you should be able to choose that.
Oh, so wait, it just adds a link to my today notes?
Yeah. Which that may not do it on that one because you were in the note already. But like if you made a regular, like go back to like your documents and actually make a
new doc. So
yeah, and then just title it like, and then just say and then do slash today.
Oops. Come on now.
Oh, it didn't bring up your menu. Okay. Yeah. So now if you go to your daily note, there should be
yeah.
Now there's a link to it.
Nice. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So that's okay. So in the event, so if I had like, let's say a task, if I can get the markdown correct, the shortcuts on Craft are interesting. I have to play around with them, but let's say new task, new doc today, and then so if I have a note for this, and then there's a link to the page, and then you just go to it, check it off. Okay, cool. So that's interesting with like the bidirectional linking. You can kind of make that happen. Okay, cool. I was playing around. I was looking at my old like today notes. So let's see. I just want to give you an example of like what I was doing with daily notes until I started moving around stuff. So I used to have like a task section and notes section, and then I would have like I then added like a links section at some point, just because it was just easier than. So let's do. I think I saw it earlier. Am I not searching the right place? No, I'm not. Let's search here. So let's do this one. So yeah, so I used to have like a top of mind task list system, and then like a note system. So this is like an idea I had for a tablet habit post. And then throughout the day, I like to read news. And if I find something interesting that I either want to read later or that I want to expand on in notes and possibly talk about it in tablet habit or elsewhere, I just throw it in here and kind of just make that my catch-all for the day. And then when I'm working on like the weekly roundup for tablet habit, I'll just go through the last few days worth of daily notes, and this is where I'll kind of find all the ones that I think are interesting. Do you know how to? Okay, you just double click on it and it opens. Okay, cool. All right. I don't know why, but for every reason I was like, you can't open links, but I guess you can. I just didn't make that thing.
Just click. I do wish that it would like. I wish they had like a previewer, like you could see it in a window inside of Craft.
Yeah, I do too.
I would like that for that sort of Zettelkasten and like note taking style where you're, you kind of are referencing that, but you want to write about it.
Yeah.
I mean, you just open it. It's fine to open it in Safari, but it would just be nice to be able to see it
Yeah.
inside.
I will say I do like. I think in the iOS version on the iPad, like if you open the link, it opens it in Safari, in the Safari browser within the app, as opposed to like opening it in Safari.
That is true.
So
yeah,
I don't
so
know
that's
why, but I
nice.
like that a little bit more, just because it doesn't take me completely away from the system.
Right. And what I'll do on my iPad is I'll make, if you hit Command Shift N, it instantly makes another instance of Craft
Oh
beside
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Or it does it on the Mac too. But yeah, so like I'll take one, especially on the iPad, and I'll open it in that link, right? And it'll pop up on that side. And then I can type on the same document or the same document in Craft and take notes.
Yeah.
And then just get rid of it when I'm done.
Cool.
So that's a useful thing. Craft side by side is really nice. Like having, especially because, you can drill down into those different sections. That's how I started liking cards and pages and that content inside of a document was I could see like the master list, right? The main document. And then I could slide into a card or into a page and I could still see both of them. And you can, let's say, because I do a lot of like, I've talked about this on my videos, like stream of conscious, just like blurb everything out and then clean it up later.
Yeah.
And so I'll grab that text and just drag it into the card, right? And then it's just there, right? Like it's really smart how it, it doesn't ever get bogged down when you have multiple notes of the same note open, right?
Yeah.
Like some apps freak out if you have another instance open, but Craft just like, I don't know how they built it to where it does that, but it doesn't ever care.
Yeah. It's got to be something in
always
their syncing service that they use, which
yeah, it's really good. I mean, it's really fast. It's instant. So you can be editing the same document twice. One thing that I haven't done that I want to do more is like collaboration in Craft. Like, can it do like Google Docs stuff? How fast is it when you use it with someone else at the same time?
Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we let's
try it.
Okay. All right. After a little bit of work, we finally got this to handle. I think it was, it was an interesting. So Craft was sending emails to you, but for whatever reason, it kept showing up in the junk email. So if you ever want to collaborate with somebody, I guess make sure to check your spam and junk folder. Just in case.
So the first one came, but then after I sent it again, it marked it as junk, which is crazy. So
interesting.
Yeah. So
okay.
So you invited me with a link, right? And then I was able to put my email address in. It sent me an email and sent me to Craft. So, and I just use the email that I use for Craft, and that seemed to work.
Yeah.
So if I'm typing, let's see if I can type on this.
Oh, I can see you typing. That's
wow.
super cool.
So
it shows what block you're in. It shows your name.
Wow.
It's really fast. Oh, yeah. Real time.
Wow. Oh, man. That's cool. Because I hate Google Docs. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, I can see you now. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. That's incredible.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So now that we have, like, we're just playing around with collaboration now, but this might actually be easier because now we don't have to worry about sharing screens with one another. Well, I can share my screen with you, but you don't have to share your screen with me. You could just copy and paste a note possibly and just throw it in there.
Totally.
But like, so now that we've kind of like dived into daily notes and stuff, let's talk a little bit about like organization stuff. So like, so we can do this one of two ways. I can either show you my notes. I have no problem showing you my notes, and we can kind of go over my specific system, or we can go into a more generic system and make dummy notes here. It'll take a little bit more time. Let's
walk through your actual notes, because
so I'm gonna switch over to my.
I think that will help, and I can just see your screen share here.
Sweet. So if we go into all documents, I found this really interesting too. You can actually look at like stats for different folders and stuff. So currently I have 92 different documents, 2,600 blocks, which are like paragraphs or however you want to explain it, of like content,
Yes.
156 pages. I don't know how a document, I guess we can talk more about it, but like pages and documents are separate things. 18,000 words, 104,000 characters. If I were to go through and read all of these, it would take me about 2 hours.
Yeah.
So I don't have a huge system right now of like notes and stuff, but I have enough to where now I kind of need to start worrying about organizing.
Right.
And I need to kind of like A, figure out the best way to organize it, and B, the best way to kind of handle different parts of my workflow the most efficient way possible,
Mm-hmm.
that won't cause extra cruft to the system. So that's kind of like multiple parts to this. So the first thing I want to kind of talk about is like, how should I organize my notes? Because I think I have things set up in like different spaces for me right now. So if you look at it just from the
Yeah.
top level down, I have tablet habit, personal notes, and then notes for a slab of glass. Those are kind of like my three biggest areas. I don't necessarily need a note system for my work because my work is just day to day operations. There's no real big ongoing projects and stuff. I work operations basically in my day to day job.
Gotcha.
So as far as like needing to make notes and stuff, very few and far between. Most of what we do is through email. I'm fine with that. I don't need to make more systems to make that all happen. I will just use
What you
email
have.
to deal with it.
Okay.
So this is just all personal stuff. So my podcast, my personal notes, and tablet habit
That, I mean, that
is what
makes
I
it
have
way
right now.
easier, right? Like, because
Mm-hmm.
for me, I had to decide, what I wanted to do with all my like work and personal stuff. The thing about
Mm-hmm.
spaces in craft is they don't talk to each other. So, if you made it like if I made a space like a total new space for work, I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
see those in my other space. So if you want to keep them separate, it's good. But if you want to have like crossover, it's not good. That's a good thing about something like Notion, where you could have these different areas, but you could find them if you wanted them, right?
Mm-hmm.
In craft, they are on islands that don't share, right? So
Yeah.
if basically at work, if you decided like, oh, it'd be useful if I use craft for this, you could make a new space and have that completely in a separate universe.
Yeah.
So like all mine are basically together right now. But the only problem with that is sometimes it does get a little confusing, right? It's like, where's that thing? And so that's where I've just had to I've made more folders than I probably would normally, to
Gotcha.
go. When tags come out, I will use tags.
Mm-hmm.
I've reached that point in my amount of craft where I'm like, I wish I had tags.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
they're just because you could set up a tag for something and then it's easy to find all those notes.
Mm-hmm.
Linking is great, like it's really useful, but you still have to do it, and tags are a little bit more automated. So
Yeah, I think the my thought process as far as like linking to different notes and then using tags are like, if I want to reference something, I will link to that specific note. But if
yeah,
I want to just like have a general bucket to throw all these things, then I'll use tags. Like if
totally
this is just part of a project, there's no reason for me to link to the project
right.
because it's all part of the same thing, but it's a smaller aspect of it. So if I can tag it, hey, whatever the project is,
Mm-hmm.
and you could just search it that way, that would make things a lot easier.
So
So
one
that's kind of like
thing
my
that I,
thought
I
process on
hope
it.
will happen when tags come out, I think they're coming out soon. I mean, it's on the
Yeah.
roadmap. I think it's one of their next big features is I hope that you can tag daily notes, because then like you were doing, where you were like grabbing articles and stuff for Tablet Habit and you were putting them
Mm-hmm.
in one sort of like master quick list. You could just put those in dailies, and then as you see the article, just tag that note with that. Is it inspiration? Is it an article to read? Is it a feature? And then you could just look through that tag and say, what things have I grabbed that are, article features? And you could just
Yeah.
see them all. Like that would be super useful, right? Like in the flow. So I don't know what they'll do though. So I'm future casting, but like
Yeah. It,
I hope they do something like that.
and I'm sure they listen to the community really well. So I'm sure if they do this and then people are like, hey, we'd like to do X, Y, and Z, then they'll probably make that happen
I
at
think so.
some point. So,
Yeah.
so, so because like now that I have these like three systems, I'm going to unfold all
Okay.
the
Yeah, that'd be
main
good.
things just to kind of like show you what is the lack of and some of organization. So,
Okay.
like I'll just go quickly down. We'll do each section separately. So
Okay.
tablet habit, I have one of like active things, whether it's an idea, articles I'm currently writing or thinking about that are kind of top of mind that I want to keep access to. I have things that are published, which are things that I've either posted on tablethabits.com or have used somewhere else in the sense of like it's done, it's archived essentially,
Right.
it's there. And then I have a folder called live linked. So I have a couple of craft published articles. By that I mean like I made a document,
Yes.
shared it as like a public
Like a
thing,
website.
and then
Yeah.
linked to it from my newsletter. So like I have a longer about tablet habit thing that I've linked to on my Substack. I have the
Mm-hmm.
posting schedule, which I've linked on the Substack. And then, once 2022 comes, I'll change this and have my
Nice.
more specific, posting schedule with all the days I'll be taking off, and just sort of had that available for anyone that's interested. And then I have things
Cool.
like resources, and I have no idea if this is something I want to keep using or not. But I interviewed the CEO of Kraft. I never got the pronunciation of his name, but I have notes and stuff of things that we went over
Wow.
on a shared craft doc, actually, which is fun. And then I have notes from WWDC 2021, and these are all separate pages
Nice.
that I kind of like worked my way through. This was a lot of fun to
Yes.
do
Okay. So
real
that's
time.
a great use of pages or cards, because all those things, and if you exported that main document as a markdown file, it would just take all the information and stick it in a document.
Oh, nice.
So
Okay, cool.
it doesn't see that as 10 different items. It would just see them. Well, you can do it. I mean, if you export it as a markdown, you can see what it'll look
Sure.
like.
Let's see what I can do here. I think it's
So yeah, just go to the little share button.
share.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
See, so
Okay,
each one
cool.
just becomes a thing. And you
Neat.
can even
Okay.
change the markdown style depending on if you're going to put it somewhere else, which is
Yeah,
cool.
the flavor, I really enjoy this. Like you can have it for whatever. Like if I wanted to throw this in Ulysses, I could just do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, or my favorite thing about this is that I can just throw it to Ulysses
Yeah, exactly.
directly.
Exactly. Craft
then
is
just
actually
have
a great
this.
place to write content, because it's so easy to export it to other places. So yeah, and it's going to pull in
Look
all
at
those
that.
images.
That's really cool.
Also, just a note, like for people who are listening to this and you're thinking about that, like, I call it the Evernote problem, which is your notes go into Evernote and how do they ever get out, right? Like,
Exactly.
because Evernote locked that down a few years ago. You can export your entire craft, like even though you can't see your craft library, all of it is just markdown files. So you can export all of it in like 1 minute. And so I did this the other day just to test it, and I exported
look at
everything
that.
and put it into Obsidian in a personal vault just to see what would happen, and it worked perfectly. Like
Yeah.
it just copied it all into Obsidian. It was amazing. So
Yeah, and if you're using this in like an office setting or something,
Mhm.
you can actually export this as like Microsoft Word documents or
Wow.
PDFs or even text bundles if you want to play around with something.
Yeah, text bundles are
Text
cool.
bundles are new
Yeah.
kind of thing for me. I understand what they are, but like I never really think of a way I would need them because I'm just such a markdown person. Like it's
Yes.
just.
Jay
maybe
Miller.
it's
Jay
useful.
Miller has a good video on YouTube about exporting as a text bundle
Oh, really?
for some
Okay.
reason. Because I was like, "What's a text bundle?" I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you. It's like it's
Exactly.
either rich text or like a office style document or markdown. But anyway, that's just a thought of people who it's like, well, if I use Craft, what if I get stuck? Like, you can just literally take it all with you in a matter of a minute. So, which just makes me feel good. Like, I'm even all the work that I'm doing is not gonna ever be in vain, which is
Exactly.
good.
Yeah.
So, yes. So I mean I think that like that flow is good, right? Like there's these big overarching buckets, and then there's information that's kind of stepping into those kind of tree branches.
Yeah.
I think that's good. I think I think for me it's like I make enough system that I can do it and reproduce it, but not so much that I'm going to ever think like, oh no, where do I put a note? Like, where do I put this document? It doesn't really matter. And really all the sorting is only for your brain, because ultimately you could
Yeah.
just search for everything.
Yeah, I think the reason I have these is just basically because like they're all different modes of work for me.
Totally.
Like personal notes and stuff, I'll just throw in here. Like I have books to read. I don't have any books to read right now. I just threw some movies in to watch. I was talking to somebody the other day about true crime podcasts to try out. I threw these in there.
Totally.
I've done a couple of like seminars and stuff, and I just wrote notes about those to kind of save. I have course notes from to Obsidian and beyond, because that's when I was playing around with Obsidian. I'm part of Substack Grow, so I've been doing like these weekly seminars that they're doing, and I'm taking notes while I'm a part of it. One quick tip I will say is that you can do like quick captures and stuff if you're in like a Zoom meeting, and just do quick captures, and then it'll show up on your like the bottom left hand corner of your screen if you're using like Clean Shot, or I think it does it automatically now in the newest Mac OS system. But you can just click and drag that file directly into craft, and it will just upload the full file, the photo, and it'll just be part of the notes. So I took like screenshots of all these different slides and stuff that I
Nice.
wanted to be a part of, and so I use those visual references as I continue to take notes of like things that I wanted to think about as far as like,
That's good.
in this case, Substack publication strategies of like what I want to do for Tablet Habit and kind of the public publication strategy of Tablet Habit. So
Very cool.
yeah, so that's kind of like my personal stuff. And then finally, a slab of glass. This is the one I think needs the most work.
Yeah.
Because I have two schools of thought. So
Okay.
what I have right now is like I have like big things like potential guests that I want to like either interview or have on the show at some point. People that I want to talk to. I have notes like the interview that you and I did, where
Nice.
I have notes about either questions I wanted to ask or different things that I kind of wanted to touch base on. And then if we're talking about something I have the ability to, I will find the links and stuff that we're talking about and just have them saved in Craft and then use those as a reference later for show notes, which I also have show notes here for your episode.
Nice.
And like I will take this entire file,
Mm-hmm.
export it as either a markdown or a PDF, copy and paste it into the podcast publishing system that I have right now. It's actually through Substack, and I'll just paste these show notes in there.
Nice.
And call it good. And then I have them all searchable and findable in the event of like, oh, James and I talked about that in the podcast. What was that thing that we were talking about like that? Oh yeah, we were talking about the Craft Notes announcement or the Zoom H6. I forget which one it was, or whatever. I have the ability to kind of
that's cool.
Have access to it. Or if I'm like, what was that band that James is in? Oh, it's Rare Fiction. So I can just go to the Spotify page and just go right to it. So
nice. That's a good idea.
But like they're all notes right now. There's no folders. There's no subfolder. Well, there's a folder, but there's no subfolders or like any kind of instruction. And so like the two ways I have this is that I either have it as like different folders for like interview notes, show notes, and then bigger files will just sort of be like top level, or I have it by person.
Right. So here's what I would do. I would make a person. So like I would make me, right? If I'm in your system, I would make a note called James Eaton. Okay. And then go back to like our interview. And just somewhere on the page, like probably at the bottom, hit the @ symbol and then type and then find that note that's just my name.
Oh, find.
So just type James.
Oh, you want me to make a note? Yeah. I made a folder. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, just make a document.
All right, it's spelled wrong, but we're just gonna call it. So we'll do that, and then do the other one. Interesting. Okay.
So I do this for authors now and articles. So when I save articles into Craft, I tag them with, or I link them. I shouldn't say tag. I link them with the author. So that way, if I'm looking for something and I think, who wrote that thing? If I remember who wrote it, but not what the article's called, I can find them. Same thing would go for this conversation, right? Is like, if we're talking about something, or you want to reference a person, you could search for them, or you could have something like this where there's a record of those links, and over time those things could grow. And so you can either do it that way where you're tagging you're in my note, linking it, or you could link me to the other note. Either way works.
So I could just do this. So
if you scroll down, you'll see that it's linked to another note now. Yeah.
Oh, yes, I see.
So you can just see
So
it.
I don't even have to add a separate. Okay,
right.
Cool.
Yes, it's bi-directional, which is awesome. Yep.
So now I can just go click here and then go, boom. Okay, cool.
So it works either way. Cool.
And then I can just do, like band or fiction. And then if I wanted to, I could actually just add the link to the Spotify page if I want.
You could also just search for that block of text.
Oh, could I? Okay, so if
You
I
should be
do
able to.
rare.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So
Then,
every single block of information in craft is searchable and linkable.
interesting.
So it's not just that you can link a document or a page or a card. You can link every block. Every time you hit enter or make a new item, that is searchable.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize it was.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we talked about that. I think I remember you saying that to me before of like how granular it is. But for whatever reason, I just never really clicked that. I just thought it was only document level, not just.
So, I mean, that's the most obvious part. But like for me, a couple days ago, like I was talking with someone about something. I was on a phone call, right? So I opened up my daily note and just started taking notes from what they said. And then I was in a meeting with someone else, and instead of copy pasting that information, I just searched for that one line and then it pulled it into that note. So when I wanted to reference it, it just took me back to that daily note.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you. So like now that I have your name for this, and then I also have these documents, like how should I really worry about organizing them, or should I just sort of let them be? Because I worry that like this just might be a lot.
So what I would do, this is the other thing I was going to say. So in that slab of glass folder, I would make like a couple subfolders called like finished or done or whatever, like for episodes that are already over. And that way
so let me think out loud here, because maybe I can just uncheck these instead of having it be like just a checklist. I could just have it as well. Maybe I can have it both.
Well, I would do a checklist with my name, right?
Yeah. So do at. Let's do.
And then I would just turn all those people into a note.
Yeah, so then I can go to here and then here's all the interview notes, here's the show notes.
And what you could do is, as like, let's say, you want to have an episode with somebody and you make a document for their name, you could start taking like preemptive notes about what you wanted to talk about, right? Like you've got Jay Miller on there, right? Like you could start saying like, well, what do I want to even talk to Jay about? And then if you confirm that, you can either take all that and put it into a new note, right, for that show episode, or you could just always reference that. Like that's the thing, right? Like the uncoupling yourself from thinking about it completely in a linear fashion makes all this really powerful. So.
Yeah, and the one thing I'm noticing here is that I can either just click on this guy and make it a page. So
yes. So if you make it a page, it won't show up in your documents, but it will show up. Yeah, pages and that's the thing. Pages and documents are not the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's okay, right? So if you just want it to be something that is searchable but not in so you could do, instead of having everyone as a name, you could have one called podcast guests and then just put those as pages inside of one.
Gotcha.
That would work too.
See, I don't know if that would work for me. I think I like the idea of just having a separate page because, because not only am I going to use this for just the podcast stuff, but like if I find an article, like for instance, I just put this link in for this article here.
Yep.
If I ever want to go to it, I have access to it through your things where I'm just like, oh, someone was writing about that year with craft or whatever. And I can just search year with craft.
Exactly. You're basically making a me wiki, right? Like
exactly. Yeah.
Here's things.
And I think I want that
about.
more than. And I think I want that more than just like
a passing
subpage that is only built into a specific thing.
Yeah. Okay. See, this is the thinking. Like now you're on the craft train now and thinking, right? What constitutes a document and what constitutes like content? Because pages, cards, all that stuff is just window dressing on being inside of a document. So I agree. So I would make a folder in Slab of Glass called like finished projects or whatever you want to call things that you've already done, right?
Yep. So the finished episode,
and then I would like drag our episode and stuff right into there. Exactly.
Okay, cool. So I'll do that, and then where's the other one? Oh, here it is. Podcast James Eaton. So now they're both in finished episodes. I actually don't know if I want.
Now
I think what I might do is that I'll probably take these interview questions,
Mm-hmm.
copy those over,
And put them in the show notes. So this is a good.
then just make these both sub pages as
Uh-huh.
opposed to like, so interview. So I'm gonna make this just a standard body, and then make this a page.
Mm-hmm.
Then paste everything we had in here.
Bingo.
Because this is like all the interview questions. But
Right.
the only time I'm ever going to look at this is when I'm in
Is
the podcast
when you're in the
note.
show notes, right?
Yep.
And now you can get rid of.
I can copy all this stuff. Oh, that's the one thing I don't like is that the keyboard shortcuts for like Command Shift down doesn't take everything.
You have to. Well, okay. This is a good thing, and I'm actually working on a video about this. Doing the shortcuts on your keyboard in Craft. So there's the two different modes of like editing mode versus like scrolling mode. I don't know what the other mode is called, but when you hit Command Enter, like right now your cursor's there, but if hit Command Enter, and now you can like use your arrow keys to move around. Now, so if you were in that mode, Command Shift up and down and all that will select blocks of text.
Got it. So now I can just do.
And you can move them. You can move them. You can join things. It's amazing what you can do with keyboard shortcuts.
Let's do. Oh, look at that. Okay, cool. So I just have to be out of like edit mode and be like in navigation mode.
Yeah, maybe it's called. I don't know what it's called, but yeah, Command Enter will take you in and out of that.
So I'm just gonna make this text real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Command Enter. I think I can. I wonder if is there a way? Oh yeah, Command Option.
Command Option right arrow.
There we go.
Yep.
Okay.
And then you can paste.
Command V, and then boom. Cool.
Yeah. So like I'm working on a video for my Summer with Craft thing where I do like as much as I can, never touching the mouse. Because you can do a lot with just your keyboard. So
yeah. Okay, cool. So I'll do that. And now I have just one note for the podcast stuff of like the finished project. So I'm just gonna
delete that
now that I don't need it. Is there a delete? Is it just okay?
Yeah.
And just Command Enter. So that's the one thing I don't like is that I can't just like hit enter to move to trash. I have to click on it.
So moving to trash, actually creating a card and a couple other things won't let you confirm it, which makes me mad. It's like,
I'm sure that's probably in the works of getting
fixed.
Hope so. I'm sure that people have complained about that enough. All right.
Yeah.
So now that I have that set, now I have a finished episode thing, but I also have a James Eaton thing.
Mm-hmm. So you can make a folder called people, or
that's what I was going to say is that like now it doesn't make sense for this just to be in a slab of glass. Like it should be in its own like thing. So now I can just create new folder.
Yeah, up there at the top.
People. And then love the icon stuff.
Yes, very nice.
So let's do person. There we go. And I can change the color. I can make it a fun blue.
Mm-hmm.
Just doing real quick stuff here. And then throw this guy in there.
There you go.
And now I have it. Sweet.
And that way, it's almost like it really is like a personal wiki of people. So if you interview somebody, if you want to, either potential people you want to talk to or just people that you're friends with, right? If there's stuff that you want to connect with people on, and now you have this reference, right? So, I think that's really cool.
Sweet. All right, now I'm kind of getting into like the wiki style mind of things. It's like I think part of the reason I was so hung up on Obsidian is because of like how wikified it can be.
Yes.
And I was like, well, Craft is more like an Evernote alternative. No, it's not. I was wrong. So I was wrong in that kind of sense of like, oh, this is just a glorified Notes app or a glorified Evernote app.
It really can feel that way, right? And I think that the approachability of Craft is so high, right? Like I would not recommend Obsidian to a lot of people, right? Like, if you want Obsidian, you probably already know it. But like, I could recommend Craft to my grandma, she would not use it the way that we're talking about ever, right? That like she could make notes and drag things around, and it is as easy to use as Apple Notes, but the linking and like this ability and the navigation and the tools all are there too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Sweet. So I think we've talked about documents, we talked about pages.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about blocks and cards. Blocks
Okay.
is going to be pretty easy because I'm just going to make a new note real quick, and this will show up in my inbox. But like you can have a list style, like a to-do list, toggle list, bullet list, and this is all just by typing in /. And you can also do different decorations and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And where can I find the decorations? Yeah, you can do either like a block quote, or no, this is a code block, so this would be like code.
Mm-hmm.
And then just do /code, and then it just basically becomes a code block that you can do. And then if you want, you can also do you can do titles, subtitles, headings, strong, body. Strong is like bold, body is standard, caption, page, and card.
Yeah.
So we've talked about pages. And then with cards, you can do some really cool things as far as visual stuff goes. And I like this. But I want to know more about like when should I use a card and when should I use something else? Because I feel like cards are basically glorified pages almost.
They are. I mean, so I'm back on my screen now, and so when you see the video, you can see like I've got one. I made a note for setting up Craft with Jeff, and I started with a bunch of text and turned them into cards, and it just says like area, daily note, input, structure, maps of content, and linking, and it just looked nice. That's really all.
Yeah.
And you can see a little bit of a preview. So I use the big, like the wide style card. And you can see a preview of the text or information that's in there.
Gotcha. Yeah, so you can do...
And then you can make those big ones. Yeah.
Yeah, you can do a bunch. And like the thing I like about this is that it actually is like really native for all of the different applications and stuff. And like you can add your own images if you want. You can do Unsplash.
And Unsplash is everywhere. So I use cards in a pseudo Kanban style. Of if I want to, like, let's say at church, right? Like we're working on a series and we have weekend content, right? And we're working on a 7-week series, and it's like, we want to do this message and this thing and this thing and this thing. I'll make all those cards, and then I'll kind of like drag them around to fit, once I know what I want to do, visually to change that. So it's just like a bucket that you can move around. That's
gotcha.
That's really all that they do. It just looks cool. I mean, ultimately that's really all that it's doing, which is enough, right? Like it's just it's a feature of Craft that there are pretty things, and I like that. But it is easy to move text around. So if you have kind of a bundle, it's like a bundle, right, of stuff.
Yeah.
So
I like the Kanban idea. I didn't consider that before, but like you can have like different titles. So like working on, waiting on.
So like if I go to my Summer with Craft page, my YouTube page here, and I'm scrolling down, I've got all the episodes as a note, and then in each one it's like episode 1, and then there's that card, and then under it it's like shoot, edit, upload. I have to do action items with each one as well. So I am like, some of it is static and some of it's movable, because like some of the episodes, it was like, oh, I want to do this instead, right? So I just drag that card to another episode.
Gotcha.
So
cool.
It's like a linear Kanban for me.
Yeah, and then because you're moving the like actual note, you can then go into here and
totally
add different things that you need to work on.
Yeah,
and just make it a task or however you want to do it. How did I screw that up? How did I mess that up? Why is it?
You just need to tell it it's a task.
Well, I thought the markdown would work. I guess.
Oh, maybe because you put a dash and.
Isn't that not? Is it just supposed to be? Oh,
yeah.
Okay, all right. I'm used to, what? It's the one that editorial used all the time.
Yes.
I forget the markup language, but yeah. Okay. um, uh, task paper.
Yeah.
Oh God. All right. Yeah. So all right. So now I can just do task. Goes here. Just make that a thing. Okay. Cool.
And then when you go
So
back,
now that makes sense to me.
you're gonna see that preview of that task like right there.
Oh yeah.
Which is
yeah.
just really
All right.
nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially with like you and with like this style of note, and you can make it even the bigger one if I really wanted to.
Yeah.
Or skinnier one, I should say.
Yeah.
And apply the style, and then that's there. Cool. Very neat. So I think I have a better understanding of like what I can do with craft here. Is there anything that like we didn't go over, or something that you think that like newbies getting into craft and like starting to use should like either use more of or be more cognizant of, or like last minute quick tips before we kind of like end things?
So I would say utilize starred notes. That's really helpful. So for me, like, because I have like personal and work in the same bucket, right? The same space. I utilize those for things that I really do need to access a lot. And that's really useful because no matter where it is in the stack, it's just going to show up in that starred section. So that's just a quick hit, right? Again, in place of having tags, that's useful. And then I would just say, make your system like, use some folders, right? So for me, I want to be able to either quickly in a folder get to where I need to, right? Kind of in that hierarchy, or search for it. So I want to make it both ways, right? Craft is great at searching, but I don't want to just rely on searching, right? I really want to have a flow that I can, because when I'm in that mental place of like, oh no, it was a meeting and I did the thing, and or it's an article, where'd I put it? I can just look through my articles, right? Like I could just find it. Because I am like, as I'm adding more notes, like if I look through all documents now, I get overwhelmed. Okay, one other tip about that, and I just started doing this, is using the cover page or the page cover to put a photo in is really helpful. So like it's like open up that new note again and go to on the right hand side. Let's see, not that one, the one above it. Page show cover image.
Oh, okay.
So you can.
So I'll use the same image from Unsplash, and we'll just have that there, and then.
So now when you go back, you can see that as a preview. Okay, cool. And so like I put all the books that I'm reading in craft, and so if I go to let's go to all documents, and you can see. So you'll be able to see my screen here. Like. For Dune, like I put the cover of Dune, right? And Atomic Habits and Annihilation, like, and I can just see those, and it just looks visually nice. And again, it helps notes stick out. So like, not every note has a page cover, like, a random note doesn't need it, but when there is something useful, it is really helpful, visually when you're searching. So I would just say,
or if you really wanted to, you could utilize this as like a pseudo tagging system almost.
You could, sure, totally. Yeah, if you wanted to put a little, this little brushstroke look is how all my meeting notes look, right? You want like that picture you use, like that's cool looking, right? That could be a visual tag that says this is a note, or this is an article, or this is a whatever. Yeah, it's a cool way.
Very cool.
Just because like that view to me, like I almost get overwhelmed when I look at my document. It's just like, oh gosh, like, there's text.
Exactly.
And like, I love the preview ability of it. That's not really a word, but the ability to see the preview is nice, but it also does get a little overwhelming. Now you can change how you see it too. So in that top right-hand corner, you can change it to being like stacked. You can make it like so that's cleaner, or you can literally just make it a list.
Even. Okay, cool. And you can actually change how you sort it by name,
right?
Uploaded, ascending or descending. Interesting. Okay, cool. So I didn't realize that there was.
So you do have some options on your sorting.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was available. Interesting. Okay, cool. And then this just creates a new window. Okay, so. Interesting. Okay, so I think I have some work to do, especially with like my notes organization and stuff like that. Like I do like, by the way, if we're talking about this, I do like as another option is to just use emoji as like the first icon and things.
Totally.
Because like I took this from Notion.
Yeah.
Because like in Notion, you could do a note with an emoji icon on it, and that like always shows. And so like for movies to watch and books to read, like I'll just have like a note here of like books to read.
Yeah.
And I'll make a page for each note or like each book, and then have my notes and stuff in that. And then if I want to, if I remember, like you can search within pages inside documents, right?
Yes.
Like that's totally
Yes.
okay. All right.
You can. And they'll show up in a different, like it'll show, like when you hit search, you can see documents, pages, blocks, like it'll break it down, which is helpful.
Oh, okay. So if I want search, let's search Jaws, and then I find it in pages.
And it shows you that it's a page. And then anywhere you're in Craft, you can always hit Command O, and it'll bring up the search box.
Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah.
Okay, that was another thing about Obsidian that I absolutely loved was like the command palette, or not command palette, but like the search and like
the box that popped up. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Command
so if I'm like, oh, I need to go back to James Eaton's page, and I can just open it up and just keep going. Oh God. Okay, cool. And then you could just open a new tab. Oh,
yes. There you go.
And then just go like to tablet habit ideas and just like,
boom.
Oh, okay.
Now you're cooking.
Now we're cooking with gas here. Sweet. Interesting. All right. That is game changing. I didn't realize that was like a thing. So it's probably, I guarantee you, if I actually like did some digging and like actually looked into the shortcuts, where can I find? Is there like there's a way to find the shortcut. I forget where it was. I just saw it. But like all the shortcuts are like here.
Yeah, there's a lot of the actions.
Whatever, you can Google it. I guarantee that like that was in there as far as like here are the keyboard shortcuts of like what you can do with it.
Yeah.
That is one thing I'm probably gonna be slow to learn on is like the different keyboard shortcuts that they have because every app has its own quirks as far as like how keyboard shortcuts work and stuff like that. So it's just gonna take me some time to get used to it.
Yeah.
So all right.
Totally.
So let's see. And then if we're gonna, learn while doing, let's go to where was it here, and then show cover image, and then image from Unsplash. I can do shark because this is the movie Jaws. Yes, I've never seen Jaws. I need to see Jaws. I know I need to see Jaws, but I can just yeah, that sounds like one.
Perfect.
And now I have. And then I can make this a card and have it actually show the image.
So if you wanted to do that, you could edit the card and actually make it on the bottom. Yeah, you can.
Yeah. Oh, you can actually just select the image itself. Oh, neat.
Yeah.
And then I could just use this guy.
Nice.
And now I go to movies to watch. Nice.
Totally.
Neat. All right. That is something I should do more of. Because not only is this like a way for me to like organize my things, but it's also how to like bring levity and fun to things as well.
Totally.
Especially like with personal notes like this, where it's just like, these are just things I want to like have a list of just in case I ever want to do more with it. And
eventually when tables come out and stuff, you can probably do something with that too. So.
Oh yeah.
I
remember seeing a tweet about that, and I was like, "Oh, maybe it's coming in the next update," and then it didn't. But like, I know they're working on it. It's probably closer than we'd like to think.
What I hope is, and what I want to make is like master table, like databases, like Notion. That's my goal. If they come out with that, I'll be so happy. Because I still do use Notion for that specifically. Is a database table where I can sort with parameters. So if they could do that, I'd be over the moon, right? But
yeah, I hear you for sure.
If they don't, again, it's okay, right? But it'd be great. So
yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, James. I think that this has been a really interesting like hour or so of like going into what craft can do, and I hope that people watching this get some value out of it. I know I did.
Good.
And I really appreciate it, and I mentioned earlier in the top, your Summer with Crafts YouTube series and stuff. I will put links to it in the description of either the podcast and or the YouTube video while I figure out what I'm doing with this.
Yeah.
But you can find it anywhere. If people want to find you elsewhere, James, where can they go to find you?
Twitter's probably good.
Okay.
At James Eaton. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm there a lot. That's a good place to connect, and I'll post
Cool.
about whatever I'm working on, right? And whether it's craft
Cool.
videos or music or writing or whatever.
Yeah.
Twitter's a good place to hang.
Yeah. And if they have any questions about craft, I'm sure.
Please do reach out. Like you said, like talking about this and just like thinking through what you could do. Like you've landed on some really useful things, right? Like you've made in this hour, you've created personal wikis, you've made linked information, you've utilized daily notes more. Like all those little hooks are just going to keep the more stuff you do, the better those are going to get. So
yeah, it's definitely like what you put in is what you get out of it, kind of thing. And that's kind of why I wanted to go all in with this. Is that like, I felt that if I put all of my effort into craft, I can get a lot out of it. Like if you put all your effort into Obsidian, you can get a lot out of that as well. But like I have my reasons of like why I wanted to use craft more. And I'm sure I'll probably write about that or, explain it at some point. But, those are just personal reasons for myself. And I don't want to like tell someone like use craft, don't use Obsidian, like use whatever works for you, because a lot of the things that we talked about here are useful in both systems.
Yeah, and so I've been watching, like you had the Obsidian course. I watched one with Sean the other day where he set up his Obsidian, and it helped me use craft better because I saw some of the things he did, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And I was like, well, I can do that. That's not only in one application. That's a way of thinking. So
exactly,
craft has helped me expand my thinking about notes and how I take content in and use it. And that's going to work no matter where I go, right? Like if I went back to Apple Notes today, I would be a better Apple Notes user because of the thinking, right? So whatever you want to use is fine, but I would say making a system that works for you and that gives you that quick access, because like, man, there's so many distractions. You don't need another layer or another barrier of entry. Like it's hard enough to just keep on top of all this. So make a system that's robust enough to work for you, but like don't freak out about it, right? And that's the good thing about craft is that ultimately all those things, every page that you made in card and block and wiki, it's all searchable. You can just find it. Like nothing is hidden, right? So that's cool.
Yeah. Thank you again, James, for doing this. It was an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, we'll have to do another one here in like a couple months when you've like, worked through all your folders and systems and see where you land.
Yeah. Craft 102 or 201, whatever you want to call it.
We'll just make it that's right. This is advanced school, right? If Summer with Craft is the primer, this is the real class.
Exactly. Cool. Awesome, James. Thank you again.
Yeah.